U.S. immigration reforms faces uncertain prospects in both the Senate and the Republican-controlled House because Donald Trump opposes it.
It's difficult to watch, but that's where we are. I still think it's going to pass the Senate. I heard one senator say if we're given an opportunity and we decided for political purposes not to do it, we could be in serious trouble. A lot of their candidates would be in trouble back home.
Quigley was speaking February 2nd on Joan Esposito Live, Local, and Progressive here on WCPT. For WCPT 820 and Heartland Signal, I'm Andy Miles.
Imagine having all the money you need for retirement, all the income, every month, guaranteed. That's Secure Future Investor, an indexed annuity tied to growth in the stock market, but without any risk of loss ever. It's guaranteed money for life income, no matter how long you live. Call 888-863-9022, 888-863-9022. Sponsored by GP Agency, Inc., Raleigh, NC. Licensed in all states. Performance may vary. Consult your financial professional before making an investment decision.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
The following program, Collaboration Radio, is sponsored by Collaboration, and to the extent applicable, their guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of NewsWeb Radio Company or its management.
Drop. Let the beat drop.
Hey! Welcome to Collaboration Radio.
I am Carla Stillwell. Welcome to Collaboration Radio at the intersection of art, activism, and social change. And those were the sweet, sweet sounds of a lady D.
Yeah. I'm Anthony Mosley. Carla and I are here to kick up some dialogue around art, activism, and social change here at 4 p.m. Central on 820 a.m. WCPT, Chicago's progressive talk radio. We're also streaming live right now. I am coming into focus at the hands of our director of photography, Henry.
Hey, Henry.
Hey, y'all.
And we're also on YouTube, and you can get us in the near future on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We have a great couple shows. I think we've been on a run. The Vasile show last week was incredible, and today we have our dear friend David Cherry in the studio with us.
David Cherry is my boyfriend. I wink at him all the time.
Oh, thank you so much, Carla. I love you immensely, Carla, and I love you too, Anthony.
Wait, we're all three holding hands.
You're all three holding hands.
Family.
There we go.
Yes!
It's a family affair here. It's a family affair.
It's a family affair.
There you go. It's a family.
David Cherry, who they named the Cherry after. Collaboration Radio is sponsored by the Joseph and Bessie Feinberg Foundation and donors and members just like you. If you like our programming and our 32 previous podcasts that you can listen to on Spotify and the stuff we're going to do every Saturday at 4 o'clock, please make a donation. Become a member for as little as $1 a month. Or, if you don't have the cash, but you got some real estate, you can always bequeath us something in your will, because we are a 501c3 nonprofit. Take the energy that you don't need, also known as cash, and let us do the work of hiring artists to tell their authentic stories to bring us all together. That's Collaboration. We're also sponsored by AV Chicago, Chicago's leading provider of AV production and event management services. Go check them out at avchicago.com. And Ethos Collective.
Ethos Event Collective is a purpose-driven destination and event management company that seeks to become a trusted strategic ally to your business as they create authentic experiences that align with your goals, delight your audiences, and generate impactful outcomes. You can reach them at www.ethoseventcollective.com.
Yeah. Ethos produces our gala, the Utopian Ball.
Every year.
It's going to
without fail.
Yeah, we're November 5th. We're already scheduled for next year.
Wow, that's great. That is great. Looking forward to that.
What else is going on, Anthony Mosley?
Well,
you know,
we got some stuff going on. But you have something going on first. We have a little Collaboration field trip to go check it out.
Well, first of all, happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month.
And I don't know if you all know this, but I am Black History. I have a show with Impact Theater, which is Chicago's African-centered theater, 32 years. I used to be the artistic director over there, and they are remounting a show I wrote in 2010 called Tad in Fifth City. And it is running now at the Greenhouse Theater Center, 2257 North Lincoln Avenue. You can get tickets at www.mpaact.org. They are running until Thursdays through Sundays until March 3rd. And it has a wonderful review now in the Reader, so you can go read about the show if you'd like. And February 15th, we will be having a special show where I will be there, and it is a collaboration night out where the board will be there, we're going to do a crucial conversation with some social justice and child welfare specialists around trauma after the show. So if you come out, tickets are $46, and if you use the code Carla for the 15th of February, you will get a discount.
Oh, I know I'm looking forward to it.
Yay, you're going to be there, yay.
Yes.
I'll be there.
Anthony's going to be there.
And then 1 week later will be the screening of the feature film Trial in the Delta, The Murder of Emmett Till. We adapted the missing trial transcript of the state of Mississippi versus the men who killed Emmett Till to a teleplay with NBC, which has now won 2 Emmy Awards, and you can watch that on Peacock. We then did it as an immersive play staged at the DuSable Museum, and on the closing night of that run, we filmed it with 7 cameras, and we made a feature film out of that footage, shot in 4K, and we're going to be screening that for the cast and crew and special friends, and there are a small number of tickets available to the public. So join us at the Wayfarer Theaters in Highland Park. Wayfarer Theaters is a really special place. They don't show violent movies. Yeah. So anything that exploits violence, they stay away from. And there's also Wayfarer Studios in L.A. that has a bunch of great films. We sure would love to join the portfolio out there. Yeah. And they have a new show actually called documentary called Racist Trees. Wow. And, yeah, it's about a bunch of a grove of trees that were built as a wall to keep the golf course separated from the black community. Wow. And they took down all the other trees, but they left up those. Wow. And yeah, it's really interesting.
There are so many stories like that.
Yeah.
There are so many stories of that's the story of Central Park.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
That is the story of Central Park. Central Park was a thriving post Reconstruction black community, and it was decimated with the excuse that they were going to make green space. So that is why there is Central Park in New York.
Yes, 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 yeah.
Trees used for evil.
Yeah. that has such a so many tragedies throughout American history, and it's so appropriate, here in Black History Month that that we are going to begin sharing, some of that, or resharing some of those, traumatic stories, as well as some of the triumphs. That's what Black history is all about. It's tragedy and triumph.
So come out and join us on February 22nd at the Wayfarer Theater 7 o'clock show for Trial in the Delta. There'll be a crucial conversation afterwards. And then also, Collaboration is currently accepting resumes for our youth program this summer, The Light.
Yes.
We have auditions at the end of February and early March. We'll be at the Gary Comer Center in South Shore. Mm-hmm. We will be at the K. Ryan Center in the Austin community, right next to the Catalyst School over there. We'll also be in Ukrainian Village at Shy Arts. And then we'll be holding auditions at a really cool place called the Kimball Arts Center in Humboldt Park. So if you know young people that like to sing, dance, tell stories, write, play the guitar, perform, and they also are passionate about social change and social justice and doing the right thing and building a better world, send them our way. Maybe they'll get paid $18 an hour to be part of our group and make work and tour and share their world. And then also, All Stars Project is accepting some applications right now for another project. David, will you tell everybody about that?
Oh, thank you, Anthony. First of all, I'm going to share this the collaboration opportunity for auditions with some of our All Stars young people. It just seems like a fantastic opportunity. And you're right, Anthony. The All Stars Project. We were founded back in 1981 in New York City. Mm-hmm. It was founded by community activists and organizers, mostly working in the South Bronx and Harlem. And from New York City in 1981, we expanded to Newark, New Jersey in 1999, and then to the San Francisco Bay Area in 2005. I was asked to found the All Stars Project of Chicago in the year 2007, and I'm very proud of that. And then we also have the All Stars Project of Dallas, which was founded in 2013. And so we've been having young people from various parts of the city of Chicago participate in our Development School for Youth program. They've had some wonderful experiences with the connecting with our partners in the business community. So right now, we're looking for young people who are ages 16 to 21. You can certainly send an email to me, dcherry, DCHERRY, @allstars.org, if you would like to receive an application online. But the All Stars Project Development School for Youth program takes young people 16 to 21. There is no grade point average requirement to participate. So whether you're getting A's, B's, C's, D's, F's, even if you dropped out of school, the only requirement is that you're between the ages of 16 to 21. So beginning in March, young people from various parts of the city will be traveling to downtown Chicago once a week after school. They will participate in professional workshops on writing resumes, job interviewing skills, public speaking. Some of our partners will introduce them to the world of real estate, the legal profession, the accounting. So that some of the workshops will focus on different professions. And then in the month of May, we'll have a really fantastic graduation ceremony with all of our young people. And then we will place those same young graduates into paid summer internships where they will earn $18 an hour working for 6 weeks during the summer at places like the law firm of Neil Gerber in Eisenberg, or Equity Residential, or Amity Residential, or J.P. Morgan Chase. There's a number of companies that have really stepped up and shown that they want to be part of the solution in Chicago. And part of that is offering young people opportunities that perhaps they've never had before, an opportunity to come to downtown Chicago, and an opportunity to participate in workshops run by professional companies, and then a 6-week internship earning $18 an hour working at a corporation during the summer. And one of the things I've been impressed, Anthony and Carla, about our young people is that it's not something that just ends with the internship. You know, our young people continue to come back and visit us. You know, we have a new hub in downtown Chicago, 542 South Dearborn. Anthony's been there. We got to get Carla.
I got to get there.
Got to get Carla there too. Yeah. It's a beautiful space where we bring together people who make up the various constituencies of the All Stars Project, which is young people, business people, volunteers, community activists, faith leaders, and it's really a great coming together. People from our after school development working group, from other youth programs, but our young people are very actively involved as youth leaders, really participating in so many of our events. So that's why I'm so proud of that, because again, it's not just they participate and then we don't see them anymore. They participate, they do the workshops, they do the internships, and they continue to stay involved. And I can say, 17 years after we founded the All Stars Project in 2007, we have a number of youth leaders who are actively part of the All Stars community.
Where can people go to sign up for those the internship? And then we're going to read your bio and give you a proper introduction.
And you just got to work, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. They could go to our website, which is allstars.org/Chicago, so you can take you right to the Chicago operation, because we are in other cities. Or you can send me a personal email if you like, dcherry, DCHERRY, @allstars.org, and I'll be happy to communicate with you if you want to like to receive an application via email. If you have any questions about some of the programs and things that we're doing, I personally would be glad to communicate with you.
Awesome.
So here's the thing. David Cherry is Senior Vice President, Youth Community Development, and City Leader of All Stars Project, ASP of Chicago. Since the launch of ASP of Chicago in 2007, David has used his 25-year history as a highly skilled and dedicated community organizer, together with an intimate understanding of ASP's approach to youth and community development, to implement two of the ASP's leading programs, the All Stars Talent Show Network and the Development School for Youth. He is also working tirelessly to build the organization's trademark partnership between business professionals and inner city youth, a key to the growth of All Stars Project's programs. In addition, David is a leader in the convening community members, educators, innovators, and others in Chicago's after-school arena, and a key player in establishing an after-school development hub in Chicago, an important national growth initiative for the All Stars. David is also the president of the Leaders Network, an organization of faith and community leaders that advocates for social justice, serves on the board of Collaboration, and is a member of the Cook County Social Innovation Commission Social and Human Capital Committee. Born in Harlem, David grew up in the South Bronx, just a couple of blocks from the once infamous Charlotte Street neighborhood, a national symbol for the poverty and devastation of America's inner cities in the 1970s.
Oh, thank you, Carla. I love hearing that. I love hearing you read that little history there, so thank you for that.
And if you want to call in and you have David Cherry's email already, but if you'd like to join the conversation, you can call 773-763-9228. WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. We'd love to have some callers here as we talk about David Cherry and Black History Month, where we came from and where we're going.
So, David, this is my question.
Yes. Yeah.
My superhero question. What is your origin story? How did you get here?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question, Carla. I really love that. Well, you know, for the purpose of time, I'll give you the brief version of it.
The abridged version.
But I grew up, in New York City, in Harlem and the South Bronx. I spent about 15 years in Harlem, 15 years in the South Bronx, 1 year in Brooklyn. And so
it was a blip.
But South Bronx first or Harlem first?
Harlem first, yeah. It was Harlem first, and then the South Bronx, and then I came back to Harlem. So it was definitely a beautiful experience growing up there. My father was an activist. My parents were from the South. My father was from South Carolina. My mother was from Alabama, and they met in New York City where I was born. And then, for my father, he met Malcolm X in 1959, and my father was always a lifelong Christian, but he appreciated Malcolm X's militancy and just would come to the meetings all the time. Sometimes he would bring me as a toddler, to some of the meetings there, and he remained with Malcolm even after Malcolm in 1964 formed the Organization of Afro-American Unity. And he was my father was at the Audubon Ballroom on February 21st, 1965, when Malcolm X was assassinated. So, and then, my mother taught me how to read and write at an early age. My handwriting I have now is still my mother's handwriting, so I developed a sense of community from my parents, kind of an interest in not just trying to achieve things for myself, but, I was always helping out my fellow students in class. Like, I was always wanting to see other people be successful. And for me, my current activism with the All-Stars Project really started when I met a black woman named Dr. Lenore Fulani, who ran for president as an independent in 1988. And she was the first woman and the first African-American on the ballot in all 50 states. When she ran in the general election in November 1988. I met her in August of 1989, and I started volunteering in New York City. And kind of fast forwarding, it was, in 1992, she ran for a second time. That brought me to California, Indiana, Kentucky, and then Chicago. And in 1992, I decided I wanted to stay in Chicago. Like, I love Chicago. I signed up for the petition campaign. I personally signed up 13,000 people, in the space of 2.5 months here in the city of Chicago. And I just met so many wonderful people. And I decided I want to make Chicago my home, And then and so I worked on the issues of fair elections and democracy, and kind of leading up to 2006. Is when Dr. Fulani and Gabrielle Kurlander, who was our CEO at the time, said, "David, we want to start the All-Stars in Chicago." And I'd seen the success of it in New York City and Newark, and heard about what was happening in San Francisco. And I said, yes, I absolutely want to do that. So then I was very proud to be the founder of the All-Stars Project in Chicago in 2007, and giving young people opportunities to be in the All-Stars Talent Show Network where they could perform. And it's all about performance and using performance as a tool for growth and development for young people. And then in the development school for youth, young people participating in the professional workshops and the paid summer internships.
And now you're performing here on the radio.
I'm performing on the radio.
And you've impacted thousands of young people. And we have a caller. You know what people from New York say when they first come to Chicago?
What's that? I love Chicago. I'm a native New Yorker, and I love Chicago.
It's hard to go back, right?
Because it's New York without all of the stress.
Yeah,
some of the stress.
And sometimes some people talk to me.
It's no stress, New York.
Because when they say what's your favorite pizza, it's like Chicago. You know, Chicago has the best pizza and the best hot dogs.
Listen,
and I say that as a native New Yorker.
You better tell these people.
When I bit into that hot dog for the first time, I said there's nothing like
home.
it. I'm
it's
home.
The snap. It's
and
the snap.
then that deep dish pizza. Oh my goodness.
We love Lou Malnati's. Do we have a caller? Hi, welcome to Collaboration Radio. Who's this?
Yes, this is Steve from the Gold Coast.
Hey, Steve from the Gold Coast. Thanks for calling in. What's happening? You're live on the air.
Well, thank you. On the point of Chicago versus New York, additionally, in Chicago, you don't have to give up your firstborn in order to have a one-bedroom apartment here. So that is another.
Correct.
And on a more serious note, I was wondering if you could comment on, given the developments in terms of public policy on a lot of these fronts, especially, given this court, the high court, we're talking about a court that was willing to strike down affirmative action that had been in place for decades, attempting to level the playing field. I mean, should we perhaps reorient some of our priorities, given the fact that there are things that are under attack that were just given a generation ago, let alone things, I think reparations is a worthwhile cause to discuss, but let's face it, in terms of public policy, it's not going anywhere. We're having a tough time holding on to a lot of the ground that people gained just 50 years ago, let alone discussing things that, go nowhere. So the question becomes, are we wasting valuable political capital discussing things that aren't going anywhere versus, shall we say, reorienting our
Oh, we lost him. Who wants to take that one?
Let our guests go first.
I never think it's a waste of time to discuss issues. I know sometimes, a lot of people can get frustrated over some of the developments that take place politically. As a person who is, who's an old man now who's seen a lot of stuff in my lifetime, I think the issue that we all have to do is we have to keep growing and developing with each other. And, I'm a big believer in one of the things that, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was trying to create a beloved community of people who really cared about each other and people who could help to fight together to eliminate poverty for all people of all races and a beloved community, free of the hatred and people who really care about each other. So it does matter to me, how Carla is doing. It matters to me how Anthony's doing. It matters to me how other people are doing. So I think the antidote, it doesn't solve everything, but the antidote to being frustrated is simply continuing to build and create positive things, with people who truly care about each other.
I think that two things can be true. And things can run simultaneously, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I feel that there has to be a conversation about reconciliation and reparations for there to be healing.
Right.
So those conversations can never stop.
Yeah.
But, there are some immediate issues that need to be addressed, but I think we get ourselves in a tizzy and make a mistake when we say we have to focus on this one thing and can't focus on anything else, because the root of the problem is that nothing has ever been, not nothing, let me say it differently, America has not said she's sorry and made amends for her original sin of slavery.
Right.
And until that happens, we're going to keep bumping our heads because we will not be able to dismantle the systemic racism. There is a system in place that is broken. And until steps are taken to correct that, until all black people have health care, for the rest of their lives, until all black people have education for the rest of their lives that don't cripple them and set them back, until all black people have mental health care for the rest of their lives, until all black people don't have to worry about housing and get the land back that was stolen from their ancestors. Until these things happen, we're still going to be dealing with an unequal, unlevel playing field.
I was listening to Eckhart Tolle last night while I was walking Coda, and he talked about politics being something that ultimately comes from our subconscious. Like what happens in politics at the end, the end results are much driven by what's under the surface. If we don't talk about the things that might, even the things that might not manifest, we need to have the dialogue, because that's where people learn and learn to listen. And so, we are such a results-based culture, but sometimes the unstraight line is actually the best one to take.
There has to be a paradigm shift, right? Like Barack Obama becoming president was a paradigm shift.
Right.
Did it change anything substantively in policy? We can debate that up and down. But what it did do is there's a generation of children that don't have the same understanding that I and David had, that there would never be a black president.
Right.
That ceiling has been broken in the subconscious of generations to follow, because it's happened. So now there's a shift. That paradigm shift had a counterbalance. That people that had been sold the bill of goods, that was only for white people, had to reconcile with equality in a way that made the environment that we're in now.
Right. that is so important, And I just want to say something too about one of the things I enjoy so much about being on the board of Collaboration. I'm so proud to be a board member and participating in numerous events. And one of the things I enjoy is after a performance, the crucial conversations, because it is something that, when you see a performance that, the audience is experiencing it at the same time, but people are having different experiences based on their own life experiences. And the crucial conversations allow people to express themselves. And you could hear from people how they felt about what they just saw. So I remember one of the crucial conversations, we had at least two people who were alive at the time when Emmett Till was murdered. So they were able to give everybody who was sitting in the audience firsthand accounts of what it was like to be here, in 1955. What it was like to talk to some of Emmett Till's relatives. And that's something that, because it was a crucial conversation was taking place, the entire audience was able to hear that and feel that, even though most of them weren't born yet. But and then for the people who were not born, and people who were, young people who were born in the 1990s, or even, 2000, 2005, who were, they had a different perspective, but it's just as valuable to hear how they saw this very powerful performance of Trial in the Delta. So I think the crucial conversations, I don't know if the gentleman, has ever been to a Collaboration event, but to me, it's almost like a group therapy activity that's going on.
Steve from the Gold Coast, come out and see us at February 22nd.
Yes.
There will be a crucial conversation after Trial in the Delta.
Yes.
But to that point, the other thing that was very striking about that audience is that there were a lot of older white people in the audience that heard that account and were deeply moved, because they did not know that this was going on down the street from them. Like, they were not aware. I had a lot of conversations in the hallway after that show, because they were not aware that this was a thing that was happening around them. And, and we have to address the bubble that when we don't teach history correctly and we're not honest.
That's right.
You can't. I can't get my male sapient American family members to move forward. if they don't know that all of these things are going on around them,
that's
when
exactly
they're being
right.
kept ignorant.
Yes, right. That's right. And Mamie Till's decision to have an open casket is something that it was so historic, because what happened to Emmett Till was not the first time something like that had happened.
No.
It happened many times before, and oftentimes the people at the funeral homes say, closed casket, closed casket. You don't want anybody to see. She said, no, I need everybody to see what he did to my boy. You know.
And I think just to that point too, this is, you guys know I get on my history rants.
Yeah.
I think people need to understand what was happening. It was the summer in Chicago,
right
before climate change.
Yeah.
So this lady let her son's body lay in open state for days.
Yeah.
People that were alive could smell it for blocks.
Yeah.
Like, this lady put herself through that trauma to tell the story.
That's right. That's right. And one of the people who saw the photo of Emmett Till that was in Jet magazine in 1955 was Rosa Parks in Alabama. And, you know, it was Rosa Parks, her activism on that bus, which is the thing that sparked the civil rights movement. So it's like taking the pain of what happened, the extreme pain, almost undescribable pain of what happened to Emmett Till. And from that moment, from August 28, 1955 is when Emmett Till was murdered. And then just less than 3 months later, Rosa Parks refuses to give up her seat on that Montgomery bus, and the civil rights movement begins. And so that's a part of history that often is not
Connected.
told. Right, exactly. People don't connect the dots. They think of this, well, that's one story, and this is the other. No, it's all related and connected. And, you know, and again, it brings you back to the courage of people, you know, of fighting up and standing up and being active, even though they risked, and some people were in fact killed during the movement, you know. But it was that courage, and I think of the people who are active, like sitting here with the two of you, and just thinking how appropriate it is for Collaboration to be in a position to tell the story of Trial in Delta, because we don't just do the film and then just let it go. Again, it is a conversation, a series of conversations that need to be had, and, you know, and we're here to lead that. And it's just really a powerful story that more people need to hear. And Collaboration is really, you know, I really appreciate how Collaboration is telling this story.
Mr. David Cherry, I want to go back to a conversation about All Stars. It's been on my mind since you were talking.
Yeah.
There's, you know, the classic Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois debate about education for Black people. And I happen to think college is not for everybody, and that's okay.
Right.
I think a trade, you know, is perfectly fine. But there's a strong debate about the best route. And one of the things that you said when you were talking about, you have real estate experts that come and talk to your young people. And I don't think people understand, you do not need any more than a high school education to take the real estate exam and to do and to start a very lucrative career in your life. Talk to me about how All Stars engages with young people that are not interested in college, that are wanting a trade, or just they're not academics like that.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things I'm proud of with the All Stars activism here in Chicago is that we are we're strong collaborators on working with other organizations in a whole series of partnerships. So, you know, there's no one way of developing people. You know, like for us, the All Stars Project, we use a performance approach to help young people grow and develop. And because for us, we see performance as something that is common among all human beings. Like, we are all performers. Like, that's one thing that all of us, we do. That's what the human species does. We perform.
Right.
And so, you know, whether we perform as singers, whether we perform as librarians, whether we perform as someone's mother, someone's father, someone's sister, someone's brother. That's what the human species does. We perform, and so an important activity that we're doing is working with, and we created something called the After School Development Working Group. And we've had these after-school development conferences. And so we bring people from other organizations. And in fact, Anthony's been a panelist at one of our conferences. And so one of the things that we're trying to do, Carla, is how do we work with people from the whole variety of organizations, the whole kaleidoscope that makes up, the nonprofit and youth programs, and support what they're doing to help develop young people. And so I agree with you. I think that there's some things that, there's some young people who may have a benefit more of getting into the electrical field, maybe become an electrician. I was just at a South Side meeting this morning, and there was a woman who was leading that, who's a longtime educator, and she was saying the exact same thing. Even as a longtime educator, she doesn't necessarily believe that college is for everybody. Right. So, and she says her brother, who is an electrician, has created a very successful life for himself, going in another route. So I think for us, and I think for all of us collectively, for me as an all-star, and also as a person who's concerned about what's happening in Chicago, I want to continue to help introduce young people to a whole variety of options. Like our young people should have a whole menu of things to choose from, just like when you go into a restaurant and you have a whole menu of things you want to choose to eat that night. Well, young people should have a whole series of things that they can choose from, whether it's going into business, whether it's going into college, whether it's becoming an entrepreneur, whether it's taking up a trade like electrician or even auto repairs become a bigger job now than it used to be because of all the technical aspects. Where they want to get into some of the STEAM opportunities, and there was a woman I was speaking with recently who was sharing that that there's a big need to program the things you see on the expressway, 20 minutes till, to downtown, and there's like a whole series of careers that many of our young people aren't exposed to. So for us, a big thing is introducing young people to new opportunities. It's not putting them steering them into one area, but our young people are often deprived of the opportunities to even know about the world around them. So we're trying to create a scenario where young people, have a more expanded worldview, where they're able to, see more possibilities, where we can turn around what has become a society of limitations and turn it into a world of possibilities. And so I really appreciate your question, because I think it's going to be a major job for all of us collectively, whether it's the All-Stars Project, Collaboration, or any other groups that want to be part of this. Like, our young people need to develop. They need to grow and develop. And they need those adults who care about them to be out there on the front lines doing outreach, going into the schools, because our outreach operation, we stand at transit stops. We go to the red line and the green line and the blue line and stand at the transit stops where people are getting on and off the bus and the train. And then we also go to the schools, at the dismissal times. And then we get invitations to speak in the classrooms. And then we do a lot of resource fairs. So one of the things I would definitely urge all of Chicago, for whatever program you have, is to try to develop an outreach operation so that you can reach these young people and let them know about the opportunities. It's not a situation like if you build it, they will come. You have to actually go and invite them and ask them to participate. And when they participate, you start to see, more of the excitement, for a young person when they start to see that there's adults who care about them, and they start, coming to activities, and then they become, mentors for other young people.
The greatest ambassadors.
They are the greatest ambassadors, Carla, because they, I'm just in awe of Chicago's young people. Aww. I am in awe of Chicago's young people because I've seen them, take the trips on public transportation. sometimes up to an hour and a half to get to workshops, sometimes coming to events where it's, 10 degrees, either above zero and 10 degrees below zero, or they come in the snow, they come in the rain. It's like nothing stops Chicago's young people from the opportunities to grow and develop.
I am the beneficiary of the Chicago Park District's theater programs.
Oh, excellent!
So I speak from experience. That is how we are. That's how we're built.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
To get on the train and to go to an event.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
So, if you don't see David right now on YouTube, he usually has a pressed shirt, a tie, really comfortable shoes, and a big winter jacket. Like, he is ready to go from church and then hit the protest line.
That's right.
And then go get some grub.
That's right.
And do it all over again.
That's right.
How old were you do you remember meeting Malcolm X?
I do remember, the thing that was so surreal about the whole experience was, I just saw him as like, one of my father's friends, So I didn't realize the magnitude of who he was as this major leader, because, sometimes when my father would take me to some of the meetings, I would see Malcolm speaking at a microphone, but sometimes there might be times where we're just in a bookstore in Harlem and Malcolm X comes in and he's sitting around like, 5 or 6 people. And it's like, I just saw him as one of my father's friends. And it's like, as I got older and realized, what? Like this man actually picked me up. And and
I was hugged by Malcolm X.
God. Yeah, I know. It's like, it was, as I got older, it became even more surreal.
Yeah.
But the thing I remember about Malcolm X, and one of the reasons I remember him so much, is, when you're a child and you're running around and you're being a nuisance, many adults really don't want anything to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm X would call over children like myself, like we were never a nuisance to him, and so he would talk to us, and he would talk to us about, about a whole variety of things, about school, about, what kind of things you like to do. So I remember just the conversations. So that's one of the things I remember about him was just, he was just such a kind and decent man,
Mm-hmm.
And then, as I got older and my father, kept a lot of recordings of Malcolm X, and he would play these. It's like, and then we had conversations more about who he was. And, like I said, it became even more surreal, that this was a man who was so well known. Mm-hmm. And the thing my father always talked about was how, some of the controversies too, like he was not like universally beloved, like there were a lot of people who didn't like him, and I always thought about that, like how to honor people. And this is one of the things my father told me, to honor people while they're alive. Mm-hmm. And that lesson really is from, Malcolm X. My father saw, he lived long enough to see Malcolm's popularity grow, by the time we got to the 1980s,
right.
20 years after the assassination. And my father always wanted me to honor those folks, honor people, while they're alive.
Well, go ahead. Who do you want to honor right now, live on the radio?
Oh, well, I do want to, I definitely have to shout out the founder of the woman who founded the All Stars Project, Dr. Lenore Fulani, the person I met
mm-hmm.
back in 1989, and the person who invited me to be part of this work, because I wouldn't be doing this if it hadn't been for her confidence in saying, David, I think you can become a mass leader, and that means a leader for all people, regardless of race or income, and she showed me how to do that. I also, want to recognize some of the people I work with, at the Leaders Network, a great grouping of ministers like Reverend Marshall Hatch, Reverend Ira Ackery, Reverend Cy Fields. I want to recognize the two of you here, Carla and Anthony. Y'all, I met Anthony back in 2014, so this is going to be my 10th year of meeting Anthony, and I've been on the board for about 5 years, and I appreciate the two of you. I appreciate Marcus Robinson. I appreciate, Darlene Jackson, and, so I want to give you your flowers while you can smell them, and I want to, and it's so important, I think, to that we recognize the people, who are doing some good things, who do care about other people. That's a big thing. Not everybody in this world cares about other people. People are often taught to be selfish and, and to do your own thing that's going to benefit you. But what does it mean when you are creating something where you're giving people opportunities? And I love what's happening with the light. I got to give plug to that. I definitely will be telling our All-Stars young people about that, because that's a beautiful opportunity to have a chance to perform and a chance to get paid and do something that is fun and developmental, as we say at the All-Stars Project.
Right.
Like, performance is a key component with helping people grow and develop. So thank you for giving me an opportunity just to recognize a few people. But I just love honoring people while they can hear the words. Mm-hmm. Don't wait until they're gone and then cry over them. I mean, you want to recognize them while they're here and thank them for their lifetimes of service.
Well, David Cherry, we recognize you, and we honor you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
We have a few minutes left.
Carla. We have a lot of minutes
If somebody
left.
wants to call in, 773-763-WCPT, to honor somebody and give them some flowers on the air.
Absolutely.
We're here for it. We're not scared. What you've seen a lot. So when were you born?
I was born in 1960.
1960.
Yeah.
What do you hope to see in the next 10 years?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I would hope that we create a world that is, and trust me, you can't help looking at the news and it's nothing but violence and war and killing and everything else that's happening. So, I do see what's happening, but I hope that we can create a world, where people don't get up in the morning, with a deep hatred for other people. The one thing I do have a lot of hope with many of our young people, because I talk to them all the time, and they have many of the young people I speak with have a deep concern for other people, and it's like it's a beautiful thing to witness that, because you can see the future is bright or can be bright, but then we have to make sure that these same young people have opportunities to express that, where they're not just expressing something that's hopeful, and then that hope gets dashed by a world that can be so cruel and cut people down. Right now we even have two young people who are now on our local All-Stars Project in Chicago board. I got to shout out those young people too, Dawn Harris and Jocelyn Vega, two of our young people, two young women in their 20s who are now on our board, and they have so much hope to do good things. I was talking to them about 10 days ago, and they're creating an All-Stars alumni council, where they're trying to where they want to bring in even more of the alum of the programs, and they just have such beautiful spirits about wanting to create a better world, and that's really what I want to see. When I, as I continue to get older, I feel hopefulness about seeing people who are continuing to do things, for other people, and I know a better world is possible. Again, sometimes you look at the news and, and I do know how, maybe the gentleman who called up earlier can feel, a sense of despair, but we don't have the luxury of sitting around getting frustrated. We don't have the luxury of wallowing in despair. Like we got to reach out. Like, when you feel upset about something, there's stuff that's legitimate to be upset about, especially when you look at some of the things you talked about, Carla, some of the things, that affect so many people in our communities, the poverty, the violence, the losing children. We had 3 Chicago public schools students who were shot over the last couple of weeks and killed. There's so much stuff that people are in pain, and we cannot give up. We cannot just say, we cannot crawl into the fetal position and say we can't do anything about these issues. We have to keep working. We have to keep building. We have to keep collaborating. We have to keep working with each other and embrace each other and try to make the world a better place.
Absolutely. And these Gen Zs, man, they're little fighters.
They are truly
little fighters.
They are amazing. I mean, they are creative and they're wonderful, and definitely want to support them.
Well, again, we want to thank you so much for coming to be with us. One more time, it's the All Stars Project. Is allstars.org, and you can reach David Cherry at dcherry@allstars.org.
Yes.
If you want to get your young folks, or you want to give that information to your kids, your grandkids, and get them involved in these vocational conversations and training, and help to grow and make money and be better and make our city so much more peaceful and bright.
That's right.
If you enjoyed today's show, go to collaboraction.org and learn more about our 501c3 arts organization that incites social change through radio, theater, crucial conversations, and more, and become a member for as little as $1 per month.
Yeah.
$1.
We did it. What's that? I think that's show 32?
$1.
Or 33?
Show 33? Maybe?
Yeah, go to Spotify, and they all have a number next to them.
Going in.
Well, that was fun. What'd you think, David?
Oh, that was fantastic. I enjoyed it immensely. This is good. I feel right at home here. This is great.
You want to throw down a couple bars for us real quick?
Oh, they might put this off the air.
The South Bronx. Is it the South Bronx? That's
the South Bronx,
Hey! David Cherry.
Hey, I just want to say this is, I can't sing, but I can say this is a beautiful, beautiful grouping of people. Thank you so much. I love you both.
Love you.
Too.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, David. Yeah.
The preceding program, Collaboration Radio, is sponsored by Collaboration.